Hello, my beautiful people. I am freshly back from Norway and I'm on Norway time in my brain. So I got up and started doing scalar work at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, but I have a So hello, we've got Ginger Bailey here. Her information is in the description box below. And she will be channeling Erik about the thing that's going on in Israel. And there may be questions she's not comfortable answering, which is fine. So we have to respect that, obviously, because it's not an easy topic. And
I'm only the messenger.
yeah, so don't shoot her, please. All right. Hi, Erik. I love you. Oh, wait a minute. Did I oh yes, recording. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he says, "Hi, Mom, I love you." And he enjoyed his trip with you. He was with you guys.
Good.
Absolutely the whole
Awesome.
time. Yeah.
He
He's
loves
actually,
Norway.
yeah, he's like pacing. So he's like anxious about this, like excited, about talking about it. But he's just there in spirit. They don't really have the same emotions we
Yeah.
do, right? But he does feel the energy around it, is what he's saying. So
Yeah.
he's
Well, we
doing his
are eternal
normal
beings.
pacing. Yes.
So we have to keep thinking that. All right, here are some questions from the community.
Okay.
First question, and for some reason there's not that many. I'm surprised. What is happening to the hostages, and are they ever going to be released or rescued? I know that a few have been over time, but what will happen to them?
So what Erik is saying is, yes, there will be some that are released. I'm mostly seeing he's showing me like children. A lot of the children will be
Yeah.
released. Here's what's interesting. He shows me that they were like out in the open when they were trying to take them, right? That they were trying to intimidate, like, and that's what you have to do, I guess, when you're trying to take a hostage
Yeah.
and make a point, right? So he's showing me like they, were like throwing things at him and stuff. But once they got him like through these tunnels, he's showing me to the place where they were going, they're just like prisoners of war in a way, where they're not really like torturing them or anything, but he's showing me the men have it harder than like the women
Yeah.
and the children. And then he says that some of them, and this is hard, but some of them have already died
Yeah.
because of the retaliation from Israel over to where they're at
Okay.
in the Gaza Strip. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you call it? The collateral damage.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
So why are
Right.
they just spitting out, releasing a handful of hostages at a time? What's behind that? Are they trying to delay Israel from doing anything, or what's going on?
So what's going on is, so when you have both sides, Erik says, you have both sides. Okay, this has been a long time war. All right. And just different parts. There's different things behind each one. Each one has its own agenda, okay, of what's going on with each battle, he says, with each individual battle. With this particular one, it's almost like what do you want to use that word, public relation type thing, when
Yeah.
they show that they're releasing, we're showing that we're giving a little, but we're not going to give them all. And it's almost like they're holding them like a barrier in a way, like, we got your hostages, don't be bombing us,
Yeah, I
because
see.
you're going to
Human
hurt them.
shield. Yeah.
Yeah. And also because if you do, then the threats there and stuff, you won't get them back. But I think that they felt like this was the only way, was to take hostages to try to hold something over,
Yeah. Yeah.
Israel. So
Okay.
yeah,
And so, yeah.
if that answers the question.
Yeah. So there was this early on that Israel bombed this hospital in Gaza, and 500 supposedly died. But they found out from, well, supposedly from audio chatter from Hamas that, oh no, that wasn't us. Oh wow, wait, it was misfired and actually didn't even hit the hospital; it hit the parking lot. So there
Yeah.
was no 500
Yeah.
deaths. Now, what is the truth here?
Hold on a second. So what he's saying is it was a combination. The truth was, and yeah, you get like different stories of who wants you to believe what, but
Yeah,
you
but they
know,
even had video that it was not hit. The parking lot was hit.
right, right. It's true. It wasn't hit, but for the source of it, you know,
Yeah.
they're fighting over who it is. And I'm asking Eric right now which side that's coming from. He says it was Israel. It
Wow.
came from Israel's side.
Okay.
But he does say though that there is that kind of thing that is happening, like where they have like a backlash kind, or I don't know if that's the word to use, but like say they're going to fire something, you know,
Yeah.
and it messes up and it ends up in
Yeah.
their own territory. That has happened, he's saying.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's happened too.
Well, Eric, but the Hamas people said it was their missile that misfired. So is that false? Or are they just lying about that? They lie all the time.
Yeah, he says there's a lot of lying going on. There's a lot of lying,
On
and
both sides, maybe. I don't know.
on both sides. Neither one. So he's saying that neither one feels they're at fault because they're both fighting for what they believe. They both have their ideals, and their beliefs that they fight for. And it's freedom. It's freedom on the Hamas side, the Palestinians. He's saying,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
don't have, you know, the freedoms like people would think, you
Mhm.
know, like okay, so this is where it gets kind of like harsh. So Israel's not the perfect, you know, perfect
No country
people.
is.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And you know, and here's the thing though, just like with police officers, they might be harsh on somebody when there's a group of maybe people you can't trust, but even though there's innocent people in that group, with Israel, he's saying they have to be like that on the borders because you don't know who you can trust and who you can't trust, right? But with Palestinians, also, they're being treated in a way that isn't fair because it is their home, it is their only place to
Yeah, I
live.
know. I do understand that. I mean, the
Yeah,
UN just took a piece of land and said, "This is for you, Israel. Bye bye. So sorry, Palestinians." So I mean,
yeah.
I can see both sides. It's
Right, and they don't have any governor. They don't have anyone governing them except for what Israel's rules for Israel's beliefs and what they can control and what land parts they can control in Gaza, right? And so if you don't have anybody standing up for you, you're going to turn to whatever bully's going to stand there and fight for you. So that's how, you know, Hamas comes in. So,
yeah. Well, in
but
2000, early 2000s, they had their first election and Hamas won, not the PLO. So was that a fair election or was it rigged? I mean, why would somebody want to be governed by terrorists? Maybe they do. I don't know.
no, the reason why Eric says is that exact reason is because they convince them that we can protect you and we can take care of you.
Oh,
Just like a king, say a king that you don't, that's not the greatest thing in the world, but they're going to protect you.
yeah.
So what are you going to do if you don't have any protection, right? No one else was standing up to take care of them.
Yeah.
But then of course you can't believe everything they say and they're going to tell you, I mean, like, this is, I'm not a political person, but this happens all the time in politics, right? They tell you
Oh,
what you want to
yeah.
hear until they
Oh,
get in
yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, you know, convince you. But he's saying that although their beliefs are really that they're fighting for the freedom, there's really more of an agenda behind it, and it has to do with some other bigger countries that back them, is
Yeah.
what
Okay.
Eric just
So
said.
let's talk about Iran. I mean, they're pretty much the one that gives all the money to the Hezbollah, the Palestinian Islamic, whatever, and Hamas, etc. They have a lot
Right,
of money from oil. So,
right. They all have their own agenda too
right.
behind
So
it, Eric said.
is the solution cutting off the head of the snake and doing something about Iran?
Eric is saying no to that because that would just make a bigger, like worldly, like it would just be starting at the top and working down. He says start at the bottom and work up in a way.
Okay.
So getting the terrorists taken care
It's
of.
like whack-a-mole. Just you know, get rid of
It
some here,
is, and it's going
more.
to be way.
That infuriates others, and then they join the jihadi movement.
Right. And not everybody's always getting the right story, because everybody has their own story of what happened. And back to that question, I want to go back to where you said that the Hamas said that it was them that did this. There was something that did happen, Eric said, that was similar. So it's a mixture. He's saying it's a mixture.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Going on. Yeah.
Will this become a bigger war that will come to the United States at all? Someone wants to know.
The only thing he shows me is there might be little pockets, like you see in like Europe, around Europe, little pockets of maybe some
Like terror attacks, like in that one nightclub, Pulse nightclub.
Like that. But it's more so going to stay over there. And there is, okay, so he is kind of showing me now. Remember, things can change with free will. Showing me right now is that there is going to be a hit on Iran. Like,
really?
Yeah.
From whom?
Yeah.
Us? Not
Yeah.
Wow.
We're back.
Like their refineries or their nuclear facilities, something like that.
Like air, like from the air. Yeah, okay. From the air. I don't see ground stuff going in. He's just showing me like air strikes, just to make I hate to use that word, make a point in war, but it's almost like, listen, you can't do that. Stop, kind of thing. Yeah. To try to back it off, which you're just adding fuel to the fire, I think. But it's just that's war, right? But something that he does say is that Israel will continue to try to take out, it will demolish all of the country, all of Gaza, or the part of that country, he said, just to try to get rid of Hamas. And it's weird because there's pockets, like you were saying, Elisa, there's pockets, Eric shows me, of them all over, and people that support them. See, so not just them, but people that support them, other groups that support them. So
complicated situation, really. It's a very sad situation in my
Well, they both think they're in the right. They both think they're in the right, and they will justify it. They will justify it.
Yeah. So what's the solution to the end of this conflict? Maybe there is none. I don't know.
Eric. he said okay, he says when they get their asses out of their heads, or their heads, or their asses out of their heads. Okay, I said it wrong. Their heads out of their ass. Sorry,
their asses out of their heads. Oh, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, now I feel stupid because I said it backwards.
No,
okay,
so they get their. I didn't even pick that up.
Yeah, they get their heads out of their heads. They get their heads out of their ass, and realize what's really important. And they get more. I mean, this is a ways down the road, but that there's more, that they're not getting anywhere. It's almost like they're fighting a battle that's not ever going to end, kind of thing. They're a losing battle, kind of thing, for both sides. But in all, he's saying, besides that, I mean, anybody who gets enlightened and finds their way, they find peace a little bit between each other. But he says that this is going to be an ongoing thing for a long time. This particular battle, though, he says, will probably not be over, but the worst of it, you may see the worst of it calming down around mid 2024, he said.
Oh, wow.
And this has something to do with the election of ours coming up. Yeah.
All right. So Iran, are there plans from whatever country of destroying their nuclear facilities? And first of all, is that dangerous? I mean, to let them to have a nuclear Iran that hates the West and hates Israel in particular?
And what's the question about that? Well,
first of all, is that a good idea, this Iran nuclear deal, to let them have,
never a good idea. Eric says never a good idea. When people are so quick to use it,
well, their idea is that we need it for energy, but they're an oil producing country, so I don't know. But
but he's saying that, okay, so he's using this for an example, just like a drone or something that's a toy, or they will always find a way to weaponize. They will always find a way to use something and make it a weapon, because that's their motive behind things, that's just what it's been like over there, and that's what they're always prepared for. That's what they train for and learn about, So it's not really the greatest idea, no, he said.
So is somebody going to try to bomb the nuclear facilities out of existence?
I'm not getting that. I'm getting a no. Eric saying no on that because it could be too
Okay.
dangerous for,
What about
just
the
civilian people.
refineries? What
Yeah,
about
dangerous.
cutting off the spigot of oil so that they don't have so much money to fund these terrorist proxy groups?
He
Is
says
that
there's ideas like that in play, but there's only so much. This is interesting. He's showing me like a give and take kind of thing.
okay?
There's only so much that you're going to be able to do to another country
Yeah.
before you're cutting
The rest of the world goes crazy.
yeah, you're cutting yourself off in a way of where you're losing things, you're losing access to stuff that you're getting, so and there are countries that are backing, but there's some that are just staying quiet and staying out of it. But if they have to get involved, it makes a mess of things.
It's already
So
a mess.
I know, but I mean, like more so, because then more people, are involved. But I feel like there is going to be he's showing me like not a resolve. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. He says there's something now. I don't know, because I don't keep up on this stuff, but there something going on with like a peace offering or some kind of peace that they weren't okay with. It's like
I don't
he's
know.
making
Maybe
it
the Abraham
like,
Accords. I'm not sure.
yeah, something that was going on that they were saying they were trying to stop and detour from, because they didn't like it. Almost like if you make an agreement, but the other country next to you is not okay with that agreement.
Yeah.
It feels like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, what's the best way to? I mean, first of all, why does Biden and why did Obama and John Kerry stuff? Why did they want the Iran nuclear deal? Why did they want to? Why did they want a nuclear Iran? And why are they so appeasing with Iran, like unfreezing 6 billion of their assets and loosening up on the existing sanctions? Why? Are they getting money from Iran or?
Yeah, well, there's always something they're getting. Okay, Eric's not showing me what that is, but there's always something you're getting, or you don't do that. You don't do something for nothing. There's always an agenda on the political end of things. And what he's saying is that they have a reason for this, and this has to do financial. It's financial, and it's going to benefit our country in a way. Also, he says, what's that saying where, you keep your enemies closer,
Oh
kind
yeah,
of thing,
yeah.
appease,
Friends closer, your
yeah,
enemies
yeah,
closer. Yeah.
yeah. And it's kind of that kind of feeling I'm getting. And even though they don't look at it that way, but it, or right, it's not written that way in policy,
Right.
but it's kind of like if you're working with them, then they're more likely to, work together instead of against,
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, maybe they're thinking, well, we got nuclear power. Why shouldn't other countries be able to? Maybe their thought is that, like, why should we pick winners and losers? Well, I have my ideas. Why? But and also I think the Iranian people are not really happy with the mullahs controlling them, and there's been a lot of protests and uprisings that that were quickly squashed. So I think it would be maybe a good idea to get rid of this autocratic, theocratic government that's so oppressive and so bent on terrorism and funding terrorism. But
right. And they're working on it, but like with anything, you're always going to have that type of militia type thing. You're always going to have those pockets of people who are against, they're against what the country says. When you don't have, okay, so he says, when you don't have certain freedoms, you don't have certain, what is the word, like liberties, you don't have certain liberties, that he says that's going to happen. You're going to have that, especially over there, because there is so much constriction, in where the Gaza people are and what they can do and can't do. And then with Iran, it's always about an agenda of what they're going to get. They're going to get something. There's always something. It's always self-driven,
I know. And mostly about money and power.
Right, right.
Never about love and peace.
Right.
Is this going to raise gas and food prices in the United States? People are already starving and suffering for living wages. How bad is this going to be for the U.S.?
No, it's not. It's not going to do that. No, Erik is saying no, it's not. It's not going to do that. No.
All right. Many prognosticators over the years have said World War III and the Armageddon will occur in the Middle East. Are we seeing the beginning of the end with this war? And does this tie in with what is going on in Ukraine?
This is not the beginning of the end, Erik says. It's just another battle that's happening over there and will continue to happen. And then he says that a lot of what they are doing, they've learned from that war, but it's not like that's the only way it's related, he says. And then it's kind of like he's calling, like, now Ukraine is kind of like the, it's not even the big topic anymore. You know what I mean? And
I know.
because it's like moved to this, but there's still things that need to be taken care of over there. But it's like the lost country or lost war or something like that's how he's putting it. But they did the forgotten, okay, he says the forgotten war is what he called it. But they did learn a lot from this and use a lot of the tactics. The Hamas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they for the attack that they did, a lot of that stuff came from things they were learning from, and that's how it works anyway, right? You watch how other people do things, especially when you're a smaller group. You're going to learn from the bigger groups, So
now, when will we have leaders who truly want peace and happiness for all of their people? I say centuries from now, frankly.
Yeah, when greed is not a motivator, Erik said, when greed's not the motivator for things, greed and power, because right now, people you think are in power, and this is in all countries, isn't really always that person in power kind of thing. There's more to it behind the scenes, he says. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. This has been proven, he said.
That's gone on for centuries.
Yeah, right. And he says, so when we get to a point where leaders' motivation is for those things, then we'll have it. But that's not what their motivation is. No matter how much they tell you that, No. So
I think it's going to be a long time coming.
Right. And he says, remember that we do need that spectrum of,
we do. That's true.
Yeah.
Who is really behind this war, Erik?
He's showing me a group. He says it is Hamas. That's how you say it, right? Hamas.
I think.
It's really them behind it, but they do have others backing them. And he shows me like other Palestinian groups. I don't know their names, but it's like there's Palestinian groups he's showing me like up above them, and then Iran is behind some of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just heard Iran really loud.
Yeah.
So
here in this country, especially after the fake news about the hospital being destroyed with 500 dead, people in our country, especially in the university, students are protesting, and in Sydney, they're saying gas the Jews, and it's really a lot of anti-Semitism going on, which is really horrible.
Yeah,
they are also part of the collective, and I'm wondering, and a lot of these universities, their donors are saying, we're not giving you any more money because you did not stand up against this terrorist act. You know, and you have students who have signed petitions, and give me the names of those students because they will never get a job, things like that. So what's going on in these universities where these pockets of students are, you know, I can see supporting Palestinians because they need to be free and have their own land.
Yeah,
but
right.
they're supporting the some of them are actually supporting Hamas's beheading of the children and all that stuff. So what's going on there?
You know what's interesting and sad at the same time is Eric showing me that all that happened with the children and all that genocide, okay, in their eyes, they see that as necessary to make a point, and they blame it on, even though their hand does it, they blame it that their hand was pushed.
The devil
kind of
made
thing.
me do it. Yes.
Yeah, you know,
because y'all are evil and you've done
yeah,
this
you're
to us.
pushing me.
We have no
Yeah.
right. We have no other option. Yeah.
Right. There's no other option. Eric says that's how he shows me. But in these universities, these are the ones here, right? In our country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are other places too. Like in Sydney, that's where they were all chanting "Gas the Jews." Oh God.
Because you have this news that gets out, and they're not over there, that they only can get a certain amount of what's going on, you know, like all of us.
Yeah.
If we were, I don't watch it, but like all of us, I'm saying, as in all countries, you know, you only see so much of what's going on, and you only see what they want you to know.
Yeah.
And then there's also other, Eric says, other motivators that happen with the schools, and there's reasons behind that, why that happens. And then they feel like they're doing their part because they can't be over there to fight, so they're doing their part over here. And then they, you know, the opposing side here wants to put a stop to it, you know. And just like Eric is saying, just like as in Israel, they're saying that anybody who has anything to do with, you know, the groups that are against them, you know, with the Hamas or any other groups that help them, they're going to take them out, you know. So, you know, they're not going to, it's almost like kill first, ask questions later kind of attitude.
Well, that's not good.
And, you know, and Eric is saying that that's, you know, that's not good in any kind of situation.
No. So is there a lot of anti-Semitism in universities amongst the professors, etc.? Is that's what is? Are they getting this anti-Jew sentiment from things the professors are teaching them, or are they learning it from their families, or what?
It's a mixture. He says, he shows me like it's a mix. It's their belief system. Okay, they have their own belief system and things. It's the political belief system they carry.
Yeah.
It's also in the schools, in the universities that teach a certain way. A lot of it is control, like in a way, like the way that they do teach anyway, without, if you take all the war out of it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And you look at the universities, they're always got their own agenda. There's that word again, for what they wanted to, even the regular schools, high schools, and
oh my gosh, you're so right. It just came out that high school, maybe more than one, I don't know. In California, they found out that they have this new curriculum that's going to be for 2023, 24, or whatever, that teaches, you know, that the Jews are bad. Something about it. It said some of the, I can't remember. Some of the curriculum is like, are you kidding me? Why are we teaching students?
Yeah, what happened with religion not being a yeah.
Right. I mean, we get
right. Yeah, Eric is saying that
in high school.
It's there's a lot of people that are homeschooling their children because of political views being put into the education system.
I homeschooled my kids. Yeah.
My I did with my youngest in charter schools. There's some charter schools.
Yeah. I don't think any school should be teaching our children to hate another group or person.
No.
There's no room in the world for hate.
Crazy. Yeah.
So I don't know how much of this is true. I mean, I actually read the curriculum on the screen, but you know.
Well, Eric says that there's always an exaggeration to certain things, but there's a truth underlining it. It started somewhere, he says. And then he says that he's saying that with education, in if you go to the very top and work your way down and think about all the leaders in it, down to the teachers and everything, if there's a certain belief system, which is sad because it should be a mixture of that, you should be teaching
diversity. Yeah.
yeah,
Thoughts.
right.
Yeah.
They push that belief system, and it's their way of taking control of the country in a sense, because these will be our next voters, and it's just the way
Wow.
that their minds work, right?
I mean, I always
Instead of
thought that,
teaching facts, you
right. I
teach
thought that
facts.
universities should be the birthplace of diverse ideology,
Right. It should be.
ideas, and so
It should
of
be.
course you have both sides of the spectrum where you're only going to get the conservative, or you're only going to get the liberal, and there's no tolerance for, like, a lot of universities will not allow conservative speakers to lecture or even teach, and I'm sure maybe vice versa. So
Yeah,
students
it's a
learn.
mess.
How can
It's
students
a mess. Yeah, exactly. It should be a focus of all sides
let
in a
the
way
kids
of
figure
understand.
it
Yeah,
out for themselves?
let them decide. You tell all sides, but see, there's so much in this country and other countries, Eric says, and it's and he's so like about this, that their motives of where they're coming from with this isn't right. It's not from
Yeah.
the right place,
Yeah.
and they have like an outcome that they're looking for,
Yeah.
and so that's how they set it up, so it'll come out for the way that they want it to work out.
So,
So
why does Hamas use their own people as human shields? First of all, do they? I mean, we can't assume, right? And are they not afraid that their own people will turn against them because of that?
no, because Eric said that they are programmed to believe that they're doing a good thing. Just like
The
suicide
Hamas,
bombers.
the
Yeah, the
Hamas
ones who
shields.
the shields. Because like you protect, almost like the people that jump in front of the president if he's going to get
Yeah.
shot, kind of thing. It's like you're protecting those who are trying to protect you in a way.
Are
And they
all of them
don't
like that, or do some of them say, "Wait, what the?"
Yeah, no, some of them, there's been some that were even part of Hamas, he says, that have actually left and became like spies,
Spies
and
against?
and against Hamas in
Oh, okay.
Israel, there's things like that. But he's saying, so they do have their own like decision making, some of them, but there are some that just believe it like to their soul. They
Yeah.
just believe it so
I
deep
mean,
that
their
this is,
ideology,
yeah,
they're so
right,
steeped in their ideology
right.
that there's no changing their minds, right? I mean,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. They're ready and willing to die for what they believe. And that's
yeah.
how a lot of the people over there have been brought up to believe. And
Oh, it's amazing that they don't value human life. They're raised to believe
right.
that
That it's what you do. It's what you do. You either kill
what you
or
know, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what you know. Yeah. Yeah. And there's also, he's showing me like as children, they're not treated like children really. They're from the opposing side. Okay. And we're talking about both
Okay.
sides, not just Israel children
Right.
and the Palestinian children. Both
Right.
of them from the opposing sides will treat them like they're adult criminals, or like if you do, they think you do something, they're going to take you to jail at 10 years old, without like trial or anything, right? For some of them.
Wow.
And they just treat them like that. So there's no difference between like ages and
Yeah.
what's right and
That's like
what's
so
wrong.
antiquated. They used to,
Yeah.
children were not children in the Industrial Revolution. They were like, have a bunch of them so we can harvest our farm and put them to work in
Right.
factories. And so, they were vessels of the family name and, labor, basically.
Right. Without individuality.
Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
recent when we started, society, the world started treating children as children with
Yeah.
innocence.
Yeah. Right.
It hasn't gotten there yet, I guess. I mean, I think it's so
Yeah.
weird that the Middle East was the birthplace of civilization, Mesopotamia, all that stuff. Why has it not evolved in the ideology of love and peace? Why?
Well, they keep their ideologies. Okay, they kept their ideologies all this time. It's almost like you can call it like they're set in their ways, but those who don't agree spread out. And that's why we have all spread out. You have different countries, you have different religions, we spread out from that, but the people that stay there are the people that believe. And so it stays that belief, Eric says.
Because they haven't had any exposure to opposing opinions.
Right, or they don't feel like they should, they agree with whatever they're being told or taught, or that's their home, that's what they agree with, so even if some don't think that, some may not agree with it, but that's why it's there. He's saying that's why it's there, because they stay strong in what they believe.
What is the root of anti-Semitism? Why do so many groups hate Jews? I don't understand. They're just they're just people. I don't get it. I mean, all people are flawed in so many ways. Okay. Look at us. We decimated the Native Americans and things like that. So by us, I mean Americans. But what's what's the root?
A lot of this comes from religious beliefs. A lot of it is rooted in religion, and what they believe is written, what they believe is prophecy kind of thing, on both religions, in all the religions they believe, that is the prophecy. So a lot of it's religious based, Eric says. It's mostly that, but this right now is more about freedom and a place for Palestinians in their minds, so.
And sovereignty.
Just the way they're going about it.
Their own land, the United Nations,
right. And it's
I don't get that land. I mean, can you imagine in my little incorporated village, Hedwig Village, if it was announced that, I'm sorry, all of you guys have to leave because now we're going to get this group of people because 6 million of them were killed and whatever, they're going to live there. You have to get out. I mean,
right. And then Eric says, not only do you, and Eric's saying we're not taking sides by saying this, but not only do you have to get out, but you have to follow the rules that humiliate and take away your freedom of being a human being in a way, because there are a lot of rules that they have, like he's showing me one where maybe you can walk down this street but you can't walk down that one, or you can walk over here but you can't drive there. There's just little things that they rule over them that takes away a human
dignity,
freedom, dignity and freedom,
right.
And so he says it'd be a little different, probably a lot different, if they would have gave him this and then gave them a government, like put a government together, but they were just left without.
They just say, all right, everybody, we're not going to parcel land for you and you. Everybody just live together, love each other, and blah blah.
Well, since that wasn't something that they were going to agree on, since they are, they just don't like each other, on a religious basis mostly. But
as much as I think it was wrong for the
be
UN,
nice,
as much as I think the UN was wrong to do that, and I'm going to get hate mail from this. There's no reason that does not condone terrorism.
No, nothing condones that. There's a way to do things, especially like if you're doing war. I mean, there's rules to war. There's rules to the way you treat humans and go about things to get policies and what do you call it, like peace signed and agreements. There's ways you go about that. So but Eric just said, but if they're not listening, if they're not doing it, then they're going to make a louder bang to get listened to.
So they had they voted in, the people supposedly voted in Hamas to govern. And I'm assuming that what you said, was that was not a rigged election, Eric. It was like they were really voted in because they wanted protection from Hamas.
Yes, yes. It was almost like this is all you have,
But all of a sudden,
really.
there's no other voting. There's not been any other election.
Well, of course, because once they got into control, then they're in power.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to
That's what
stay.
they want.
Yeah. If they
All
get
right,
what
just
they
a couple
want
more questions, I think.
way.
I think we're just a couple of questions. Can you tell us, Eric, the true reason and cause for this conflict? Maybe we've already covered that. And will the battle expand beyond the current combatants? Will it expand within the region of the Middle East, for one thing?
Let me ask him. There are going to be some other countries that get involved in a way. Some are going to be for refugees. They may open up for refugees, Eric's saying. Some will, some are already backing them, and some will, he's not showing me the fighting going further than that, though. It's really staying in that area. Maybe a little bit here and there in pockets, like he was talking about earlier, little pockets where you'll have terrorists,
Right.
show up in these pockets. And so the underlying reason we talked about is it's this one isn't really, it starts out with the religious based stuff, but a lot of it is their freedom and needing their own country and just tired of being,
Marginalized.
yeah, and homeless. Eric said, like homeless in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have a true place. You're just kind of existing there, and it's not like home if you're not being able to be free to some point, right?
Right.
But he's saying on a spiritual note, he wants to talk about is there are so many things, and you can't name every one of them, that is learned by this experience.
Yeah.
Experience of war, and not just this one, but all experiences that people go through in war. One of the things is also to bring to light, he says, that these smaller terrorist groups are not ones to lead. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's not the way to do it. I mean, there's just so many things to learn. There's also a spiritual things he says, like, what is this, Eric? So, okay. So he says so many, like on the collective, for the collective to learn. And then there's individual purposes for each one. And you can go down the list of saying, like,
tons of lessons.
just tons of things to learn about this, in unconditional love for one another, that you're trying to help. And maybe, you can learn to work together. Sometimes when these things happen, there will be people that are opposed to each other. Maybe
They'll work together. Yeah.
Because that's all they've got is each other. So little things like that. But there is a spiritual reason for all this, and even though it was all began with religion in a way, religious war in a way. But he says, remember, there's always
so many.
there's
the Crusades.
the Inquisition. There is, so many. And he says there's always a bigger agenda behind it. There's a bigger like reason behind it.
Money and power.
Yeah.
All right, just maybe one more question. The news about what they did to the kids. Okay, I don't want to say it. It sounds so traumatic. Is it real or fake?
He says it's real.
Okay.
It makes my heart hurt. He says it's real. And he says they feel justified and blame.
Yeah.
They don't blame the hands that did it. They blame
you made me
push. Yeah. And they will fight it to the end, fight it like an argument to the end of, like we were forced to do this kind of thing. It wasn't us, it was you.
See what you made me do?
Right. And
wow.
He says they even go as far as to say that with these hostages, that they're actually getting them out of harm's way.
Oh, okay. Are there any ETs involved in this war?
No, but they are on the sidelines, he says.
Okay.
They're watching
the bad ones.
The good ones. There's good ones, yeah.
Okay.
The good ones. They're just on the sidelines. You know, he says that with the ETs, they actually are so like connected to the spiritual agendas, you know, or the spiritual,
Oh,
he keeps using that word, the spiritual reasoning behind things, that they see the whole picture too, you know,
yeah.
of why things have to happen, why things come to be. And it doesn't mean that it's okay. It doesn't make it okay, and doesn't make it right or better. I don't really believe in right and wrong, but it doesn't make it
No, I
better.
don't, yeah.
Yeah, but they do not interfere at all unless it's going to do something to hurt the planet. That's
Yeah.
what I said. The planet. They look out for the planet. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Ginger, and for being so brave. And you did an awesome job. You guys check
Well,
her out
thank
in
you.
the description box below. And thank you, Erik, for bringing some wisdom into the room.
Oh,
Love you, baby.
he said, love you, mama. And he just loves everybody. And he's just so like happy, just happy, happy, happy guy.
I,
He,
I'm so glad.
yeah, he just loves you. He just loves you so much.
Love you more.
Yeah.
And you guys
Uh,
subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. We're gonna have a part 2. And I love you all. Bye bye.
love you.
I love you.